But there's a larger thing here that we shouldn't lose sight of. I don't even think he wants to win the battle for propaganda and the narrative over this war, but he also wants something bigger, and we shouldn't lose sight of it. And that is that he wants control of the entire news media, because there's something much bigger here to him. It's just war and peace. He wants to steal the next election or beyond. This guy is an autocrat consolidating control, and the vehicle for doing that is to have control over the media. And so these sort of broadsides that he's doing is to create a culture of self-censorship. He's not losing the sight of that. That's why he's having his administrative agencies go in there and sort of put extra weight to those threats.
So, Nero, while we keep that on the table, let's talk about what Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about, what he doesn't want covered. Let's listen to the president when he's asked about killed troops.
Do you have a comment on the 6 service members?
Who else? Go ahead. Who else? Go ahead. Who else? When he's asked, do you have a comment on the 6 service members who died last week? His response is, go ahead. Who else? So just Donald Trump, just because you don't seem to know or want to talk about it, here are those individuals that you refer to as go ahead. Who else? Major John A. Kilner, 33 of Auburn, Alabama. Captain Ariana G. Savino, 31 of Covington, Washington. Tech Sergeant Ashley B. Pruitt, 34 of Bardstown, Kentucky. Captain Seth R. Colville, 38 of Mooresville, Indiana. Captain Curtis J. Angst, 30 of Wilmington, Ohio. Tech Sergeant Tyler H. Simmons, 28 of Columbus, Ohio. That's who Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about. Oh, but wait, there's more. One other piece he doesn't want to talk about is the fact that while we have service members who are being killed, he is having packed fundraisers, which they put out this little ditty where they noted Trump's Political Action Committee sent a fundraising email promising donors private national security briefings by the president himself and featuring a photo, here we go, from the dignified transfer for U.S. service members killed in Kuwait. That's what this president did. That's what this president doesn't want the folks to cover. So help me understand where we're wrong.
Well, what's really hard to understand is where the bottom is, right? Because the idea that we'd have a president who would actually use the dignified transfer, you know, this is the most solemn occasion. These are people who died in the service of this country. Every president has treated that as a sacrosanct responsibility until this president, who decided to use it as a backdrop for fundraising. It is, just having served in administration, it is perhaps the most horrifying thing I've ever seen a president do. And believe me, there's a lot of competition from this guy. But I think the truth of all of this, the attacks on the media, the attacks on reporters, the trying to change the subject, is the president took the country to war against another country that is prepared to fight back. He did it with almost no preparation to the country. No president. Things like this have happened where we've launched wars when we've been attacked. We were not attacked. The president created no preparation. And Americans are losing great patience with this war. They're paying. Those people have paid with their lives. Every American is paying through higher gas prices, higher costs across the board. Gas prices aren't just gas prices. They're higher clothing costs, higher transportation costs. They circle throughout everything. And why? Because the president, who can't explain to the American people what the goals of this war are, he's stuck in this place, between a rock and a hard place. And that's why he's striking out at the news media, because the news media is reporting the facts, and the facts are bad. The facts are not good for the president, because he is stuck, mired in this war, where the Iranians have threatened the most obvious thing, the Strait of Hormuz. We are all paying for it. And the people these countries he's attacked for a year, that policy of never needing an ally is biting him in his behind, because no one is coming to his rescue. It's a disaster, disaster, disaster.